Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming to be interviewed today. We hope that this will give everyone a chance to get to know you a little bit better as one of our elders and members of Covenant. So I'm going to ask you some questions and we'll see how it goes.
All right.
So what's your full name?
My full name is Gregory Thomas Hanchon.
Hi, Gregory. We usually call you Greg though, right?
Yes.
And so Greg, where did you grow up?
I was born in Chicago, and up until the age of 4, traveled a lot because my dad was in the service, and he served in World War II. After World War II, he came home to the States. He married my mom in 45. I was born in 51, and when the Korean conflict was going on, my dad was in the reserves and he was called up. And I lived in Delaware for a while. I have no memory of that. But eventually we moved to Mundelein, Illinois when I was 4. And that's where I grew up until the age of about, I think it was 25 when I moved away to, that would have been Beloit at first. But anyway, I grew up in Mundelein. It was what they called at the time a bedroom community. My dad worked in the city in Chicago. My mom's folks were still in Chicago, so we were about 30 minutes from them. But pretty typical suburban upbringing. Went to public schools all the way through high school in Mundelein. Just did the usual kid stuff in the 50s and 60s. So that was my upbringing. Nothing special. I mean, I didn't have we were just a suburban middle class family.
Yeah, well, that's great. So then you grew up and when you started to work, I know you're retired now, but what did you do for work? Or maybe what was a favorite job you had at some point?
Boy, a lot of my work in life was spent in IT. At the time, it was just called data processing. My best friend in high school got me a job in the main computer room of Outboard Marine Corporation in Waukegan when they were still an entity. And I worked there for a number of years. And I did the same thing at Bendix in Beloit. And I worked about 15 years in data processing at Modine in Racine. That's how I got to the Racine area. I got a job there in 79. And I left there in 93, had some issues. I didn't work for 3 years by choice. And then in 96, I got a job at the auto auction up at 7 Mile Road and I-94 in Racine County here. And I worked there for the last 17 years of my life. And most of it I spent writing condition reports on vehicles, which was interesting.
Yeah, that's very neat.
Yeah, I've been retired 7 years now. I retired the end of October in 2013.
And you're liking retirement so far?
Yeah, I kept busy for a while. Well, I'm fairly active in the church, have been particularly since I retired. And I got through our church. I got involved with Habitat for Humanity, did quite a bit of work with them until the last about year and a half. Some health issues, most notably COPD. I can't really do that much physically for any extended amount of time. So I had to kind of give that up, which is unfortunate. I've had to give up a lot of, more strenuous activities, but I find ways to fill the time.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Covenant, so let's go there for a minute. And when did you join Covenant and why?
Joined, I think it was 98. It might have been late 97. Was married at the time. I am divorced. Um, and we were expecting a child. And while I hadn't, for quite a while, I hadn't been attending church regularly at all. I still had a faith, you know, and we decided, well, let's find a church. So we just started looking around in Racine and tried several different Protestant churches. My wife at the time has all been raised as a Protestant, you know, and we tried Methodist and some Lutheran churches, and I did not know much about Presbyterian churches, really. I mean, I knew that they came from Calvin, and you know, he was more or less the originator of the Presbyterian tradition. And I thought, well, as I recall, Calvin was kind of a strict old bird, but we'll try it. You know, we'll try it, and you know, so we uh, walked into Covenant one Sunday morning, and I've been there ever since. So 20 some years. My son's 22, so yeah, about 22 years been there, and still love it.
Yeah, that seems to be lots of people's story. They walk in and then they stay.
Yeah, I've heard that from quite a few, quite a
Yeah.
few.
And so why is church important to you over those years as you've joined and become really active at Covenant?
Um, a sense of community. You know, I don't want it to sound wrong to say, you know, I'm in a bubble with like-minded people. That sounds kind of negative these days, you know. But at Covenant, you're allowed to step outside the bubble. You know, it's a very welcoming place, and they encourage you to grow, to change, to walk your faith journey, and they will walk it with you. You know, and there's no judgment there. You know, I've encountered people um, at every end of the spectrum in their faith journey. They're at Covenant, and they're all wonderful people, and you know, we all hang together and hold on to each other best we can, even in these Zoom times.
Mhm.
And it's a feeling of community, but not an exclusive community. You know what I'm saying? We'll take anybody. Yeah. And they are welcome, and will be warmly greeted, and we'll walk with them wherever they are in their life.
Yeah. And whether it's people from Covenant or outside of Covenant or in your life or even authors or something, are there people who have been great influences of your faith?
Oh man, yeah. Lots, including you and Pastor Sarah and Melanie and Victoria. Uh, I'd say those two maybe really got me going. When after I retired, when I had more time, I really got into reading some things on their recommendation, and I was able to attend the Wednesday Bible studies and things like that, and that really got me going. Early in life, I'd say it was probably a pastor at our church I attended for quite a while in Mundelein, Pastor Gerald Swanson. He that was in my teens, but he showed me that pastors are people too. Because when we first moved to Mundelein, we started going to a Wisconsin Synod Lutheran church, and it was a very stuffy. Uh, I mean, there were rules, and we followed the rules, and things were done just so and just so and just so and just so. And we, several of the congregation broke away from that and started our own church.
Mm.
with the help of, we called Pastor Swanson, and we were meeting in a grade school gymnasium for the first part of our existence. But he showed me that a pastor could be more than someone who just looked down on you
Mm.
from their perch,
Mm.
which was my experience as a youth. And that had a big influence on me. And at one point, I had made the decision after high school that I thought I wanted to enter the ministry.
Mhm.
And Pastor Swanson helped me get into what was at the time Concordia College in Milwaukee. It's now Concordia University, and it's up in Mequon. Much nicer campus, but after my time. But there I met the president of the school, the Reverend Walter Stunkel, and he he was wonderful. He'd have us over, and his wife would make pizzas for us, and we'd hang out in his basement. And some of the professors there were just wonderful, and that had a big influence on me.
Mhm.
And then, like I said, there was quite a time, 20, 30 years, when I really wasn't church that much. There was a schism in the Missouri Synod about the time I was supposed to go to seminary. And I said, nah, this isn't for me. Um, and then I kind of fell away from the church. I would say I didn't fall away from my faith.
Mhm.
Um, but then when I found Covenant and I got into some of these Bible studies and listening to the sermons from Mary and Melanie and Victoria, they introduced me to people like Richard Rohr, who I think I'm a huge fan of.
Mhm.
And through Richard Rohr, I found other people, and from church too, Walter Brueggemann. Um, One in particular, Thomas Merton.
Mm.
Oh my goodness. Wonderful, wonderful spiritual human, but
Mm.
human. And so there's lots.
Yeah.
I could list more.
Well, that's wonderful. It's good to have so many good influences.
And I
So,
count you among them.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. I count you among mine. Um, all right. Well, we'll wrap up with one last question, which is just what's something you enjoy doing? What's something you do for fun?
Um, I like to read.
Hmm.
And when I was younger, I mean, I've always liked to read, but it was mostly novels, fiction. You know, now it's usually things of a more spiritual or sometimes what you call social justice nature,
Hmm.
which I consider part of spirituality. You know,
Hmm.
how to treat your other human beings, your fellow human beings. And like I say, I've stumbled upon or been guided to, in many cases, some wonderful authors and works, and you know, and I enjoy them. I enjoy them. I never consider myself done. I will never be a finished project, particularly on my faith journey. And I'm open to reading all kinds of things.
Hmm.
And I don't just try and seek out like-minded necessarily.
Hmm.
There's some things, you'll pick it up and you'll start reading it and you just go, whoa, no, I don't think so. I don't know where they got that. But there's a lot of things, and that make you think. But I try and approach things now more, how does it make you feel? Because I think this is going to there's too much rational thinking that goes on sometimes. um I don't remember who in particular said it, but there's an old Zen saying, the reality of a thing is not the think of it, it's the feel of it.
Mm.
That's not an old Zen saying. I'm sorry. That was Stanley Kubrick,
Hmm.
the film director.
Hmm.
But the reality of a thing is not the think of it, it's the feel of it.
Hmm.
And that's where I think we've lost touch in a lot of places. Everything has to be numbered and PowerPointed and you know, or bullet pointed, whatever, and we have to have this back and this back. When so often we should just let's go with our gut instinct. What's right? What feels right? You know, and I try and approach things from that direction now.
Well, we're very glad that you continue to work on becoming towards a finished product with us, as we all work that way, knowing that we won't be that way until we go to God. But I appreciate you taking time to be interviewed and get to know you a little bit better and have the opportunity for others to get to know you too.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to do it. I'm glad to do it.
Thank
Maybe
you, Greg.
we'll get somebody else to come along.
Yeah, we certainly will. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.